Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Diana and I am doing a Summer Money Diaries video showing you guys what I have spent this summer, what I've made, what was worth it, what wasn't, and what I am going to change or thinking of doing for the fall. So I'm just going to go into the big picture of how my summer looked like financially. So on average, the past 3 months, I made an average of about $6,000 a month, with a total income of about $18,000, and my spending, total expenses, averaged around $6,229 to be exact, and 29 cents. I basically evened out what I made with what I spent. This also includes all of my sinking funds that I have put money into and then ended up having to spend. So my investing, I allocate about $100 every paycheck from my regular office to temping. So no matter what income, I will try and put aside at least $100 of that. It's not very aggressive, but that's because I have very aggressive savings goals. And of course, money I put aside for my friend's wedding altogether. I also use that to fund my little trip with her bachelorette party that I went to. So that's been depleted. And I've also spent a lot of gifts because lots of people's birthdays were this summer. And my big yearly sinking goal of you need a budget that I save up for monthly, that came out in July. That was $166.88 after it was converted from American to Canadian. Looking at my averaging numbers, my net income is in the negative, $169.25. It's a little confusing because I'm still putting away savings. It's just that when I use money out of my sinking funds or like savings, it makes it look like I have spent more than what I have made that month, which makes sense. And looking back the past couple of years, or just I guess comparing it to last year and then the summer before, so past 2 summers, this is generally what my summers look like, which is spending a bit more money. And it's because I have spent the rest of the year saving up for whatever I'm doing during the summer. So am I mad about it? No, it's kind of expected. I'm just glad I have the money to be spending on things that I've been saving up for. So a lot of the income, of course, went to the usual categories like rent, food, gas, bills, but then summer always comes with these extra things. Overall, I feel like it was a spendy summer, but when I break it down, there were categories that definitely stood out. One of the things that I noticed the most, not that I noticed, I knew it was gonna happen. My boyfriend has moved in with me, and that has cut down my like fixed expenses by quite a bit. So the rent, utilities, internet, we split 50-50, and food has been a big help. So I was able to allocate a lot of that extra money to other categories, to my savings basically. So for June, the category that I spent the most in was my fixed. That included the rent, internet, renter's insurance, And then with my boyfriend moving in, of course, that went down. So it went from 45.4% of my total for June to 22.5% of my total income, I guess, or total money spent. Then my sinking funds, I ended up having to spend more in July than June. And that's because for my friend's wedding, there is a payment that needed to be made because it is a destination wedding. And so that came out of that category. It did surprise me how much I actually spent out of my sinking funds. July just kind of seemed like a big blur because it was totally, basically the summer as usual always went by quicker than I wanted it to. But the gifts were what really just, so many birthdays. And they were all just like little things. Bought something from the farmer's market for $50. I bought some clothes for someone for $50. Like, it's all like these little $50 purchases that I decided to categorize in the gifts category. I just didn't realize that's how much I spent. So yeah, It was a total of $1,200 that was spent in July. So that was 56.6% of the total for my average spending was just gifts. That's insane. But I managed to not spend a lot on gifts in August, so maybe that evened out. And my investing stayed the same. I got 2 paychecks every month, so that was about $200. And when I say 56.6% of my total, that is just from the specific spending in the sinking funds category of my budget. So total spending was $3,176.49. A little bit more than half of that was spent towards gifts. I have a problem. Also, my quality of life category in August, at the beginning of August, I believe it was like August 1st or something like that, I made 2 big purchases from IKEA, and it's for my den. I'm going to be hopefully sitting in there filming and using it quite soon. There's just a few little things that I need to do with it to set it up. But I am excited to have another area, another space to occupy in my apartment. I was actually in the elevator. I was moving the bins that I used to move in with. I finally emptied them out officially, and I was using the apartment's dolly to bring them down to my car, and this lady was asking me if I was moving, and I was like, no, it's been over a year that I've been living here and I finally fully just unpacked. She had a good laugh about that, and I did too. But yeah, my quality of life, which is my home decor, I guess, category, I bought a desk and an IKEA pack system. At first, it made my heart race a bit to be purchasing something so significant in cost like that, but I haven't had any regrets since. It went up fairly easily. I just had to do it over a couple of weeks, honestly, because it was getting too hot and I was busy with work. So that's something I don't regret, but it was quite a bit. Getting a chance to take a look at actually what I spent, it's a little bit surprising, but on the flip side, I am proud that I have managed to stick to this budget for such a long time, and that it has been really, really helping me with getting me to my goals and just being more aware of what I'm spending my money on, so that I'm not running around with my head cut off and trying to mentally keep tabs of how much money I have and what it needs to go towards. Just having it all spread out in front of me is the best thing that works for me, is best thing that happened to me. Honestly, it's something I'm really, really proud of for staying consistent with. So not everything was bad. Some of that money I'm really glad I spent. Some of my favorite things that I spent money on this summer were like just activities and experiences. So going out on mini trips, the Bachelorette, you get this initial feeling of, oh, I don't want to spend the money, but then the memories that you create are priceless. So I'm really happy with that. Of course, my pack system, I would say, is something that if we're talking about literal objects, that would be my favorite thing I have purchased this summer. Spending the money on the trips gave me the memories, and spending the money on the pack system has created organization. It has allowed me to just fully utilize my apartment by making it more organized, and I can't wait to finish it off so that I can actually sit there and film and edit. And yeah, just feel like I can move around to different places in my apartment. And so honestly, I really don't regret spending the money I spent this summer. I probably could have saved more money for sure, but I think I'd be a bit more grumpy if I hadn't, because I wouldn't have enjoyed my summer as much as I did. Of course, not every purchase felt great. I do this every single time, but if I can somehow remember next time this happens, there are definitely a couple things I would skip if I could do it again, which was panic buying before the Bachelorette. I just didn't want to feel left out, I guess, if I like really look deep down into why I went kind of crazy with making sure I had everything and it fit the theme, when I didn't even end up I did wear up most of it, but I just was like, no, I need to overpack, I need to over prepare. I ended up stopping myself from getting my nails done because I know that would have started a whole cycle of getting my nails done every 2 weeks again. But I bought these like press-on nails that I didn't use. That was a waste. I bought some clothes that I didn't need. I did end up wearing, but I didn't need them. I could have made something that I own already work for the outfits. I think if I had just planned maybe a little bit better, just wasn't so set on like trying to match the theme and like not being able to think outside the box, I could have saved a bit more money that way because I could have looked for deals or talked myself out of it. Instead, I probably just went to the most expensive drugstore that's in our area and panic bought all this stuff. So yeah, if I had planned better, I could have saved more. Speaking of saving, let's just talk about how my goals have been going for this summer. My goals, as usual, have always been saving, emergency fund, my surgery fund, my investing, sinking funds, etc. By the end of summer, not even by the end of summer, it's like ongoing. I was wanting to put away at least $500 a month towards my emergency fund because I'm trying to hit 10,000. Before it was 5,000. Now I've upped it to 10,000 and I am there. No, sorry, not 10,000, but I have managed to put away about $500 every month, no matter what. So that was an additional $1,500, I believe, that I put towards my emergency fund. So it was $500 every month. So that worked out great. The offices that I worked at had kind of closed, like they were going on vacation. So they close. If you don't know dental world, if the dentist goes on vacation, usually the whole office will go on vacation at the same time. I kind of just really wanted to relax this summer. So I told myself I wouldn't really actively work as much. So the funny thing is the fact that I still managed to hit my savings goal and plus more. Did end up temping, but all in all, I worked way less than I have in the past year. And I somehow managed to make the same or a little bit more than I normally would when I was working just one job 4 hours a week and extremely stressed out. So has like really, really worked out for me. Yeah, it's a little baffling. I was kind of staring at my budget, talking to my boyfriend, being like, how is this working? How am I making more? And obviously I get paid more hourly at this new job, and I've been temping and I make more money temping, of course. So yeah, I'm kind of speechless. I don't know. I still haven't really figured it out. I'm really happy with how I managed to even out doing activities but not feeling completely overworked and burnt out. Like I feel like I had a pretty good summer being able to balance everything. I always wish I could have saved more, of course. But then that would have meant that I had to have worked more. And the stuff that I bought, the big purchases like the desk and the pack system and the trips, like that would have happened eventually at some point. It just so happened to be during the summer. I will say that I did manage to sell my dresser that I bought for $280, I believe, and I bought it for like, with taxes, it came out to like $330 something. Yeah, I offset the cost of the pack system quite a bit by doing that. And will I ever sell anything on Facebook Market again? I don't think so. Because that was really, really stressful. We'll see. I might forget about how stressful it was. I just got bombarded with a bunch of things. I just got bombarded with a bunch of messages. Even when I accepted someone's like lower offer, it was so stressful. If I had the time, like I got to work from home and had access to my phone all the time, sure. But when you're working and you're not able to like handle the messages as they're incoming, when I'm on my break from work or done work, the last thing I want to do is like be answering more messages because the whole day my brain has just been like la 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 la. So yeah. And that brings me to the lessons I took away from tracking everything this summer. And the biggest thing I noticed, which kind of makes sense, is the more I'm working, the less I'm kind of spending because I don't have the time to spend. Then when I am too busy with work and exhausted, I end up spending more money on food. So I did another month of really trying not to eat out. So eating out in total 3 months was $558.17. So that includes like little treats, like anything that I bought that wasn't at the grocery store, that was included. So June, eating out, where we did a challenge where we're not going to eat out, I only spent $81.81. July, we didn't do that, and it went up to $367.23. And then July, out of the 2 months, was the month that I worked the most, even though overall I worked less in general anyway. But that also was a trip that we had gone to, so we needed to buy food, so that makes sense. And then August only spent $109.13, and that also included snacks and stuff that I had to buy for the bachelorette that I went on. So averaged about $186.06 for the 3 months. Summer definitely showed me that my spending habits shift considerably compared to other seasons. So going into fall is kind of what I'm thinking about focusing on a little bit more. They're the same as previously. So saving for surgery and my trip next summer. But I feel like I need to really cut back on the impulsive purchases. And I think in doing that, I also need to make sure I'm allocating enough into my categories for miscellaneous and activities. I just wasn't funding them enough or at all, honestly, and thinking, hey, I'll figure it out when it comes time to it. And then it ended up me spending more than I actually wanted to and having to just like move money out of all these like different categories, and it just wasn't fun. So I feel better when I actually have money in those categories to spend, so then I'm not trying to pull $1 or $2 here and there from all these random categories to cover the cost. So going forward, making sure I have money in those categories will stop me from spending more, because I will actually see how much money I have left and work within that budget instead of making the budget work for the activity or whatever it is that I'm spending my money on. I also tried to change up, or I was thinking about it. This is what I'm thinking about, but I'm not sure it's going to pan out the way that I would like. I was thinking about funding the months ahead with my emergency fund with what it's at currently. I went ahead and did this like test budget where if I took that $8,250 that I have in my emergency fund as of right now, how far would it take me if I allocated that money into each category for the next couple of months? And so it took me to about December, just living off of that. And so every single dollar that I was bringing in terms of income would go towards my surgery fund so that I could just save up money a lot faster. The problem is that if there is an emergency, that kind of throws everything out of the water, and then it leaves me kind of scrambling and changing my categories and messing things up potentially. So I don't know. I definitely could do it. It just shows that if I wanted to live the way I live now, my emergency fund wouldn't take me very far. I mean, it could honestly, basically, if, for example, there was a reason why I couldn't go to work, I think a lot of my costs would significantly go down. Like I could change my insurance, my car insurance, I'd spend less money on gas, and I would obviously be really careful with what I'm spending elsewhere, so I could make it last a little bit longer. But yeah, if there was like a true emergency that I needed that money for, it would just mess up my budget. It wouldn't mess up my finances at all. It would just be really annoying trying to fix my budget. So I think in the meantime, what I'm gonna be trying to do this fall is just to really work on being really strict, underspend in my categories. And that doesn't mean not spend, it just means to make sure I am really aware of how much money is in that category, so that I am not moving things around or being like, it'll be okay, my next paycheck's coming in, I'll just be able to allocate that to cover the cost of what I'm spending now. So try my darndest to make sure I'm looking at my categories and seeing exactly how much money I have left before I end up spending it. So I'd love to hear what your money lessons were and what your plans are for the fall. This is my full Summer Money Diaries recap for you guys. Overall, I learned a lot. I had a lot of fun. I definitely feel like I'm going into fall with like a clearer picture of what my financial situation will look like. And a clear idea of what matters to me. So I'm really pounding the pavement in terms of trying to get the funds ready for surgery. Crossing fingers. I haven't picked a surgeon just yet. I'm going to see a couple more. But yeah, I really want to get that ball rolling on that, I think. I don't think I'll be happy on my trip if I don't have this surgery beforehand. Let me know in the comments down below what was your biggest splurge this summer or what you would do differently. Thanks so much for watching my video, you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.